Hey there guys, Mikey here, and welcome to another top 3 video. So for those of you who don't know, I don't really celebrate Christmas all that much. I have personal reasons, and among others, why I don't celebrate. I respect the fact that other people celebrate it. I mean, it's completely fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I personally don't celebrate. And that's just my thing. It's just my preference or whatever, and other people do their own thing. But that doesn't mean that there aren't certain things that I don't enjoy about the Christmas holiday. And there's actually 3 particular movies that are really showcased around the holidays that I really enjoy, but surprisingly enough, they're not about Christmas. Even though they show up every year, they're actually not about Christmas. So we're going to go into those top 3 films that show up every Christmas, but actually aren't about Christmas. Let's take a look. Number 3. Die Hard. So, yeah, you could probably say this was kind of a joke entry, but to be in all honesty, this still does take place around Christmas. And what better way to celebrate your Christmas holiday than with Bruce Willis as John McClane and Hans Gruber as your villain. I mean, honestly, if you thought of a Christmas movie that a guy would enjoy watching, this is definitely going to be in their list. It's all around fun. You have a great hero, you have a great villain, you have a really pretty decent story, and people that go through story arcs in this film that are really good. It's cheesy. Has your typical 80s cheese, your typical action movie tropes and stuff like that go on. But it's still a lot of fun to watch, and I would be lying if I said I didn't pop this in around every year around Christmas time. So this definitely does. This is my number 3. Hey, what can I say? Number 2. It's a Wonderful Life. Now, I don't know many people in Hollywood-made movies that you would feel more bad for than George Bailey. I mean, this guy goes through so much throughout his life. There's everything that he seems that he wanted to do, everything he wanted to aspire to be, everything he wanted to go for, always seems to come crashing down, and not in a way that just makes it like, oh, there's a little speed bump or something. It just flat out stops him dead in his tracks. And it's really heartbreaking to watch, and everyone can kind of relate to that in some way, shape, or form. There's always been something you wanted, something you were trying to get to, or some place you were trying to go. And then something in life, something really horrible, will just stop you, and you can't do anything about it. You can't even move forward with that project anymore because something has happened that's so terrible that it's like, I can't do it. I have to do this. Otherwise, it will never work. And for a person, that is extremely heartbreaking. For as many times as it has happened to the character in this movie, it is really heartbreaking to watch this person go through so many things. And I was actually offered a role to play George Bailey on the stage adaptation of It's a Wonderful Life, and I couldn't due to my obligations to another stage play that I was already doing. But this year I'd actually had an opportunity to do a radio play for it, which I hadn't seen the movie in years, since I was a kid even. So when I went back and did the stage play, I was like, wow, this is much darker than I remember. And then I would go back and I watched the movie after the play was done because I didn't want it to influence me any. So I went back and watched, and I was like, man, this was really, really a powerful movie. And in the sense that I can relate a lot to George, but I also know that it's so easy to focus on everything that's crashing down around you that you can really miss what all the good things that you've done, all the progress you've made, all the people's lives that you've touched. It's so easy to overlook that. And I personally don't think like it would have mattered that this could have taken place around any holiday or just any random day. I think just because it's Christmas, it makes it a little bit of a sweeter note. But, you know, I think the message is very clear either way. For me, this is definitely a number 2 on that list because it really has a good message, really powerful movie. It wasn't very well received when it came out, apparently, and it kind of surprises me, but this is definitely a good gem. If you haven't watched it, please pick it up and give it a look. And the number 1 Christmas movie that isn't a Christmas movie to me is A Christmas Carol. Yeah, I know. You'd think a movie that takes place around Christmas is called A Christmas Carol would be about Christmas. And it's truly not. It's about Ebenezer Scrooge and how he has grown throughout his life. It's about how much he's changed and not for the good. This movie, if you were to take the Christmas aspect away, you take away the fact that the ghosts are named Christmas, the ghosts of Christmas past, Christmas present, Christmas future. If you take away those names and just make them the ghosts of the past, you know, what's the present and the future, you realize that, okay, first of all, you have to realize that everything that's happening to him is happening in a dream. He is dreaming all of this stuff, but he is subconsciously looking at his life throughout this dream. He is looking at the person he was to the person he has become, and how his actions are going to affect him and the other people in life that he doesn't even realize. He is now realizing that. He is now looking back on himself and saying like, oh man, this is not who I wanted to be. This is not who I want to be. This is not who I meant to grow into. I can't believe I've done this. And he makes a valiant effort to make a change. That, to me, is extremely powerful. I mean, if I were to like gauge It's a Wonderful Life and Christmas Carol and put them on, you know, a scale, the power of Christmas Carol just just edges it out a little bit, because I know, you know, with It's a Wonderful Life, it's actually somebody else is showing him like, hey man, look, you've done all of this stuff and everything, and you're actually a good person and everything. You just have to, you know, make that change. With A Christmas Carol, he's realizing these things himself. You know, he sees Jacob Marley come back, but that's not Jacob. That's him. That everything that he's seeing is in a dream, and he's realizing himself. He's looking back on his life like, man, I really messed up. And if I don't do something, things are going to end up bad, not only for me, but for others. And this is not how it should be. He realizes that himself, and he makes the change himself. You know, he takes it upon himself, and like as an individual, to look at himself and say like, I don't like what I see, and I'm going to change that. And that's a powerful message for anybody, you know, just like that's a message that really needs to go out to the world. I mean, the fact that it takes place around Christmas it makes the story a little sweeter, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you could set this around any other time and it wouldn't be just as powerful. Yeah, guys, those are my top 3 Christmas movies that aren't Christmas movies. What are your favorite holiday movies? You know, maybe they don't have to be Christmas movies. What if they're Halloween movies, or Thanksgiving, or Easter, or New Year's, or whatever, what have you? I mean, what are your favorites? Whatever it is, put it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up, and subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video.